Hi everyone. Today we are going to be discussing mood boards, and we're going to be looking at some of the progress on our props. This is your drama mama, Carmen Moses. I am the performing arts director and drama teacher at the Jesse Norman School of the Arts. If you want more information about us, please feel free to check our website. But we are going to just jump right in here. So the first thing I want to do is give you guys an update on some of the props that we've been working on in previous streams. So the first thing I want to show you guys is the glass dome for Beauty and the Beast. It is pretty much fully decorated. I don't anticipate doing a whole lot more to it. We were able to find a little. I'm not really sure what this was. I think it was like a piece of a toy or something, but it was like the perfect shape. So we painted and glittered this in silver. We rhinestone the top and rhinestone the sides. So it's looking pretty flashy and pretty awesome. I'm really excited about the way it turned out, specifically considering that I was freehanding it, which is always a gamble. Today we're going to work on a little bit of the mechanism. So this is the base. I've already pre-drilled a hole through the base, and we put a little screw in it just to give us something to anchor our rose to. And then we'll kind of sketch it out a little bit and work on this some more today. So I'm going to put that to the side. And also we're going to look at our Plague Doctor mask. I'm not quite finished with it yet. We've got a monocle chain and some other things going with it. So we're not quite, I don't feel like I'm done with it. I might be. We've also added the nose piece to the back with the light. So I created basically a little, pulled some of the styrofoam, not styrofoam, but pulled some of this upholstery foam off on this little T, this little nose guard, so that we have a place to slip our light. So there's our light, pretty cool looking. And we will now have a place for it to flash in the back, so it looks like we have an indicator light. So I'm pretty excited about how that turned out. I'm kind of surprised actually. Now, one thing I do want to experiment with is more lights. Honestly, I love lights. So just if you're just joining us, we were just looking at some of our progress from our past few weeks of working. So on this Plague Doctor mask, we're just discussing kind of the progress. And we took this nose guard that was on there, this forehead guard. We pulled some of the foam out, and we have just a regular bullet party light that we were putting in the back there to create that indicator light on our Plague Doctor mask. So again, I'm really excited about the progress on this and the progress on our dome as well. When we're fully done with the dome and the base, we're going to be adding lights, and this base is going to sit on top of a pedestal. Now, as far as like mechanical means of pulling these rose petals off, I'm not super electronically minded. Could I figure it out with Google? Probably. But what we're going to do is actually have a manual pull system, so that whoever's responsible for pulling rose petals will literally be behind a pillar pulling fishing line. So yes, pretty happy about that. I think the top turned out pretty good. I wanted it to look sort of like dewdrops, so I might go down a little bit further with it, but I haven't decided yet because I don't want to take away from the rose itself. So whoop, careful. We'll also be painting that base at some point as well, but I want to work on the mechanism first. And we'll go ahead and turn our light off here so I don't waste the battery. But hopefully you thought that was cool. If you like anything you see or have any questions or just want to say hello, please feel free to comment and turn that light off. And we're going to put our Plague Doctor mask to the side. I also cleaned up my desk just a little bit too so that we could freely see what we were working on. So yeah, we'll get to that rose mechanism in just a moment. The first thing I want to talk about today is mood boards. So we're going to have our very first mood board Monday. If you didn't get a chance to check out the online monologue festival, the entries are closed, but you can still see everyone's work. So fun stuff there. So today we're going to talk about mood boarding. Now, I've proposed this to my students as a project, and I literally get a whole lot of blank stares back. And sometimes, as you know, as a grown-up, you're just like, well, why don't you know this? And it's, just because, you got more experience. So I'm going to do a unit on mood boarding. So let's take a look at what a mood board is. I'm going to pull this up here so we can see it. So a mood board is basically a tool for inspiration, and it's a tool for planning. And I think it really planning and inspiration are not paid attention to as much when you're younger. And I might be wrong on that, but I feel like we want to put something out artistically and it be beautiful, like right from the get go. And that's not going to happen. A lot of planning and a lot of inspiration needs to take place. Hi guys, if you're joining us, please feel free to comment, say hello, tell me how my hands look. I don't know. This is probably the first day they haven't been covered in paint, but they are still definitely covered in glitter from our previous projects. So with a mood board, these are like super kind of highly professional mood boards, some of the ones I've seen. My mood boards are probably going to look a lot more like this, honestly. I like to do physical mood boards as well as digital mood boards because there's something about the tactility of a physical mood board that's just kind of exciting. We're going to look up the definition of a mood board because it's kind of better to read like the dictionary definition. Even if you know what something is, it kind of helps fill in the blank. So a mood board is a type of visual presentation or a collage consisting of images, text, and samples of objects in a composition. It can be based on a set topic or can be any material chosen at random. A mood board can be used to convey a general idea or feeling about a particular topic. So we are going to switch over to this Live Strong mood board. Let me change the screen out here. So this is a sports mood board and for the Live Strong campaign. So this is more than likely created digitally. I mean, it doesn't look physical to me at all. So one thing that I like is they included the colors that they wanted to use for this campaign, different moods. It's pretty much what it's called, like different facets of the campaign that they're trying to create. And from this, we can see that they are interested in health and strength and strength training, sports. So this is pretty nice digital mood board. And here we have samples of our buttons that we would use on a particular website. So I actually really like that one. We're going to switch back to our search. Search. All right, we're going to go back to our mood board Google search. So we're going to look at digital mood boards and physical mood boards, and then we're going to start creating one here on our desktop. So digital mood board. Let's take a look at images here. And again, this is about what we saw. This is a good example right here. So this is what probably a digital, more professional mood board would look like as part of maybe a presentation. I'm not really 100% sure. Again, I'm more of a tactile mood board person. So again, mine will look like this. And to be perfectly honest, and to tell you guys a little bit of a secret, every room in my house is pretty much a mood board. So I don't know if I can switch the camera up, but my walls are pretty much covered in different things, different pieces of paper, different ads, photos, things that I like. So let's go ahead and get into creating our physical mood board here today. If you have any questions about mood boarding, give it a Google, or if you want to talk to me, I can give you a little bit of information. But again, we're going to create something more akin to this. So let's get out our materials here. I'll let you guys look at that while we're getting our materials. So I have instituted a project bin for each class because I'm really bad about losing things. So here, we're going to pull out stuff from our project bin. I've got just some photos of paintings that we can use, some pictures from an old calendar. I've got a folder with collage material in it that we're going to look at today. I've got some fabric, little pieces of fabric. We'll talk about these in a minute. And lots and lots of colored paper, as well as a couple of other goodies here and there. So got some magazines, some playing cards, all sorts of things. Now, one thing I like to do for myself as a personal tool is to create almost like a mood board book. So these are my inspiration books. These are, I get magazine cutouts and put together the ones that speak to me. This is more of like a general purpose inspiration book. I think that's what I called them before. And this one is based on video game images. This one is a reference for, honestly, for a story I've been trying to write since middle school. And there we have Romeo. So I actually might pull this one out of this one. But let's say I wanted to do something like Romeo and Juliet, which I think we're going to create a mood board for that one next Monday. If I don't get really excited and do it now, this would probably be a valuable image to have. So inspiration books are just a way for me to have a reference. Sometimes I'll make notes as well as what I'm referencing. So here I like the mirror effect of this photo. I like her posture and her expression. And down here I put that I like the scene on this one. So this is like taking a mood board into a book format, which I think would be pretty cool to have. So I actually keep these in my reference section of my library. So those are our mood board books. And now we're going to get started on our fresh mood board that we're going to make. So I thought about different plays and different things. And as I was looking through my mood board pieces, I thought it would be great to create an Alice in Wonderland. So we're going to pretend basically that we are trying to create an inspiration or mood board for the play version of Alice in Wonderland. So here I have just a plain piece of, I'm not sure what you would call this. It's not really cardboard. It's what you get on the back of a picture frame. And we're going to assemble our mood board on here. As far as adhesives go, I'm a rubber cement gal, but we are going to use, hi guys, if you're just joining us, please feel free to say hello. Tell me what you think about our mood board talk. And you missed all the good stuff about props, so hopefully you'll catch us again at the end. So here we're going to assemble our mood board. We can either do glue stick or rubber cement. I'm a little worried about how shiny this is because there's a little bit of a slickness to it, but I feel like it should stick just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and grab our glue, and that's the one thing I didn't put in my project bin today. 1 second. Luckily, I have everything like within a foot or so from my reach. All right, we have our jumbo glue stick. All right, so thinking about Alice in Wonderland, I think the one thing that comes to my mind the most is going to be the cards. So I picked this Queen of Hearts playing card to be part of our mood board today. Now, if I wanted to do something unconventional, so let's say I want to direct Alice in Wonderland, but I wanted to create, I want to say almost a psychedelic mood to it, or just create a different color palette than we would normally see. I would want to include color in my mood board. Now, I'm a paint chip fanatic. Anytime I go to Walmart or the hardware store or basically any place that sells paint, I always grab a couple of chips. And the way I like to do it is I like to do 3 or 4 at a time, and I pick colors that quote unquote speak to me at that time. So I picked these 4, and these 4 have been on my wall for quite a minute now. And this is it was because I wanted to challenge myself to do an artistic piece using only these colors. But I keep a lot of these around. Also, if you've been an art student before, or you just happen to have color aid paper, I'll show you some of that. And color aid paper is really expensive, and the only reason I have this much was because we used it for our color theory class when I went to Augusta University. So I have a ton of this. So if I wanted to create a very, very specific color palette, like hues of purple or anything like that, I've kind of kept these on hand just for that, if I wanted to use them for collage or if I wanted to look at a particular color. But we're going to use our paint chips because that's kind of what I feel everyone could get access to for free. And I am a low cost, low budget person all the way. And we might actually cut these up a little bit. I'm not 100% sure yet. We're going to go with the flow and see what we come up with today. All right, so we have our playing card. And then another thing I think about with Alice in Wonderland are the flowers. So this is something that we could cut out and use, or we can just use it whole like that. A mood board doesn't have to be, honestly, you create the rules with the mood board. So we could either do it very organized, very systematic like this, or we could just cut it up in pieces and make it more freestyle collage. So the first thing I want to do, this was from a calendar which I love these kind of calendars where you just kind of flip the page a little. I've had too many of them over the past year, so now I just use them. Those little flippy calendars, I use them as like note cards. And like ones like this, I'll use them for collage. So this was part of a art history calendar set. So there might be some more floral images that we can use in here. But I keep these for collage and honestly for reference. What are we looking at? We're looking at Michelangelo's David. Very nice. All right, so we're going to just keep cutting here. And I think I'm going to start off squared and then see where we go. I tend to change my mind a lot, which I've been trying to get a handle on that and being a little bit more committed to what I'm doing. But I might change my mind and actually cut these out, which I'm going to do right now. See, I told you. Change my mind all the time. So we're going to cut this out and make it a little bit more. I find making mood boards to be kind of meditative as well. It helps you really focus on whatever subject it is that you're trying to focus on. So here we are working as if we wanted to create a mood board or a planning for Alice in Wonderland to get us inspired if we wanted to do that, that play or an art piece based on that topic. I like using mood boards as part of my like theatrical design practice. So I actually surprised the kids this year when they came back with a huge mood board wall or mood wall with lots of Beauty and the Beast stuff on it. So that was pretty exciting. Okay, so we have our flower cut out. We're going to responsibly throw away our scraps instead of me just throwing them to the side and then finding them later. So put that here. We have our playing card. And we're going to look through our magazine pieces here. See if anything kind of strikes us. I tend to cut out a lot of faces. This might be a good one for Romeo and Juliet mood board, so I'm actually going to put that one to the side. Because Romeo and Juliet would be a lot of romance and such. Oh, that would be a good one too. I should have just done the Romeo and Juliet mood board today. I don't know why I was thinking Alice in Wonderland. So I like to save magazines, not to the point where where I'm hoarding them, but I do like to save magazines, or at least give them one look through and cut out what I want and recycle the rest. So still looking here, kind of see if anything strikes us as Alice in Wonderlandy. And honestly, I'm like 2 seconds away from just switching to Romeo and Juliet because most of these images seem much better suited. Oh, David Bowie, we miss you. That one's just going to go on my wall. I'm not even going to use that for anything. That's just freaking gorgeous. So, I'm going to hold on to that one. We're definitely going to hold on to that one because that one looks kind of Queen of Heartsy. And this is just, I have many folders like this that have different, I think this one was particularly just for women's faces or women's outfits or something. But I have several that have different subjects on them. And these are from, what magazine is this from? These are pretty old. Oh, there's Flashback. I think I just need to make a collage with this stuff in general. All right, I'm gonna hold on to this one, but I have kind of a specific person. That one's just fun. I think that pretty much covers all the images in here. Alrighty, so we're gonna put that to the side. And I think, kind of do want to switch it up a little bit, but we'll keep going with this and see where it goes. Something I do like to emphasize with my students is that it's okay if you change your mind, and it's okay if you're unhappy with something, as long as you kind of keep going, and stay committed to your overall project. If you're just joining us, we are working on mood boarding, how to create a mood board, and just looking at it as a valuable planning and inspiration tool. And since this is a little bit of a low stakes project, I think I am going to switch directions. So we talked about doing an Alice in Wonderland mood board, but honestly now I'm kind of feeling this Romeo and Juliet vibe because I found a lot of images that speak to that particular aesthetic. So I think I'm going to switch it up and do a Romeo and Juliet mood board instead. So throwing away our scraps here. If you're just joining us, please feel free to say hello. Leave us a comment. So I found several images that kind of speak to the Romeo and Juliet if we're going to create a mood board here. So we have images of romance. I have a couple of romance images. I have this, and yes, it's Brittany. But I picked this image particularly for the costume. So I'll probably cut this costume out. Lots of images of romance. So put that to the side. We might just make 2 mood boards. I picked this image as well because it reminds me of the sort of death scene, and I completely forgot to take down the other mood board. So, so we can kind of see what I'm doing here. And we're just talking about mood boards and how to use them as a planning tool. So, got some photos here that we're going to use. I like to create a very collagey mood board. I'm sure if correct me if I'm wrong here, but if I work for like a marketing agency or something like that, I'd probably create the more like professional digital mood boards. All right, I'm gonna cut this costume out. And I'm really liking this color palette, and we talked about putting color as part of our mood board. Now, if I was doing a classic Romeo and Juliet, I'd probably want colors like this that are very almost earth tone. But if I were to completely build it from the ground up myself, I'd probably go for the funkier colors, honestly. So we're gonna just pick a few here. This purple, number 3. And again, it can be as fancy or not as fancy as you want it to. Another strategy is to use like a pin board or a cork board or something like that so that you can reposition things as you see fit. Printing out pictures is also an option. I tend to print out pictures for collages sometimes. It will kind of affect the archivalness of your mood board or of your collage, but it's okay. Alrighty, well, that's pretty much the idea that we're going for. I think I'm going to spend a little bit more time cutting things out off camera. I want to get into this rose mechanism before we get too much further on the mood board. But I think my decision is that I'm going to make a mood board for Romeo and Juliet and one for Alice in Wonderland, because I found just a few images that kind of would support each idea. And normally with a mood board, you'd want to, especially if you're going to do it the way that I do it, you want to take as much time as possible to look up images, because basically the creation of a mood board is just a form of research. And research is super important to whether you're acting or creating a character or designing a set or designing costumes or anything like that. Research is essential. And luckily, I found this amazing picture of David Bowie that's going on my wall. So we're going to put our collage materials up for right now. We're going to move over to working on our rose mechanism, and I'll kind of give you a rough sketch of what that's going to look like. Put this to the side for now. Throw away my scraps. I'm very bad about throwing away my scraps. And words. I forgot to include words are very important for mood boarding as well. If you want to. Again, it's really up to you. The one that we saw on the side here, there weren't really any words. There's more colors. So really, there's no rules other than, you know, make it fun. Okay, I'm gonna throw that to the side here. All right, so now we are going to take a further look at our rose mechanism here. Again, beautiful glass dome. I'm pretty excited and proud of them. I'm very, very gently and carefully put that to the side. And we're going to look at our base here. Again, I've pre-drilled a hole and put a screw in there just so we have something to kind of base our efforts on. Now, as far as what we have for the inside, let me sketch it out for you real quick so we can look at exactly what I'm looking for in terms of the mechanism. We'll just use a black Sharpie here. So for our rose, what we are looking for is some sort of tube, and we want it to be hollow on the inside. And then from here we would have our strings, which we go through. The strings should come and attach to individual petals in a very light way. So when we prototyped our rose prop, we used fishing line and Scotch tape, and it was just the right amount of hold to hold it together and the right amount of not hold to where we could pull those strings. So we are going to create a rose mechanism this way. And then for the overall dome, boop, 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 boop. So the rose will sit in the base. This is a really, really terrible sketch. So the rose will sit in the base. I promise I can draw a rose as well. That's our very special rose. And then the strings will come out through the bottom hole of the base and into our pillar or wherever it's going to sit. So that's basically what we're aiming for in a nutshell. And again, pretty glass dome. I'm really proud of this, guys. I worked on that all yesterday. Okay, so what I found, show you some of the weird things I found to kind of make this work. So the first thing I found, this is just like a long white tube. Well, I didn't need that piece anyway, so that works. This is just like a long white tube. I'm not sure what it was to originally. It could have been anything, a kite or something. So we're going to cut this down a little bit because, as you can see, it's a little too tall. I have this. It was one of those flashing roses. So we could possibly take this apart or just use it for inspiration. I've also got these. It's kind of a thicker plastic tubing. This was from like a solar system project or something like that. I'm not sure. So we're going to see which one of those works a little bit better. We've got some leaves. We've got just a regular plastic straw. Lots and lots of petals. Some fishing line. More petals, more petals, more petals, more petals. think when I got all my stuff out of my classroom, I just kind of grabbed it and didn't look at whether it was organized or not. So, might be. Here's our floral tape, which we discussed on our tape lesson. We've got some wire cutters. More pieces. More pieces. We have, this is, I think this is like jewelry. What is this? Bead thread. So we use that bead thread as well. Tangled on something, we're going to cut that. We have our fishing line here for our rose mechanism. I'm going to try to roll it up so it's a little bit neater. More petals, more petals, more petals. All right, I think that pretty much covers covers the petal situation. All right, so our goal and our task is going to be to create the Beauty and the Beast falling rose prop out of this, which I think we can do. It'll probably take a few sessions. If you're just joining us, please say hi. Let me know that there are still people out there. And if you leave me a nice comment, I'll feature it in the video. Something nice like that. So I think, first of all, I want to see how bendy this is. I thought it was metal at first, but it looks like it's plastic. And that hole might be too small for our petals. So I think I'm probably going to use this as well because it's got a much bigger hole in it. But it is a little bit too long. So I think what I want to do is just give it a cut. Now, how would I cut through this is the question. I could try to use scissors, but I feel like that would... oh, actually, no, it worked out well. I think I overthought it and used a Dremel earlier because I was worried about it pinching it shut. So we can just use scissors. So this is thin enough for scissors. If you have something a little bit thicker and you happen to have like a Dremel or any kind of metal cutting disc, I use those to cut these things too. But this will be a lot quieter, so I'm pretty excited about that. So I think I'm going to cut it down to about here. So we'll make a Sharpie mark or just any kind of mark. And give it a cut. And we'll throw that other piece away in case I mess this up so badly that we need to back up. So this is... think about the size I need. By the time that we get through, attaching all the other stuff, I think we'll be in good shape. And we can always reattach pieces as we need. Just taking a look there. I don't want to be too tall, but I don't want to be too short either. Okay. All right, so the next thing that we are going to do is we're going to start constructing the base of the rose. Let's see here. So I've got a bunch of these pieces that we've been kind of cutting out petals, so I'm gonna take a second to get organized here. Got our leaves, leaves, leaves everywhere. Leafy. All right, and then we have our individual petals. So I'm going to put my little grouped petals over here. I think I meant to cut those, so I'm going to put our individual petals here. And the way that I am thinking this is going to work based on some YouTube videos that I saw, and my general sense of I don't quit until I'm actually done with something. So the way that this is going to work is we're going to have this fishing line, which is pretty much impossible to see, which is exactly what we're looking for. And we are going to Scotch tape them to these petals. So I'll go ahead and grab a little bit of Scotch tape so I can show you exactly what we're going to do. It's so funny. My dog got my Scotch tape the other day, which was rude. I really need a dispenser. Okay, so we have our little piece of Scotch tape. Actually, probably need a much smaller piece than that. I'll save the rest in case we need it. All right, so we are going to just do a little test run so you guys see exactly what the plan is. And that's the fun thing about doing these lives. You guys get to see me mess up in real time. But I'm not perfect. I'll make sure the kids know that I'm not perfect when I'm teaching them. It's like, hey, stuff goes wrong. It's okay. It's about what you can bounce back. So the idea is that we very gently, and unfortunately we'll have to do this multiple times. So between showings, we'll have to reload the rows, which is a little bit of a pain in the butt, but it shouldn't be too bad. So basically, we'll have our rows like this, and then someone will pull the petals like this, and then it will fall. Hopefully without so much coaxing. We'll try it again the other way. But gravity should do its job, I think. Okay. Cut our fishing string. And put our fishing string through our rows. If you're just joining us, we are creating our rose mechanism for our Beauty and the Beast rose, just as a furthering of our discussion of prop making. And honestly, I think the best way to make any prop is to try and be patient and learn. So ta-da, and when we pull it, boom, should fall. Pretty easy. I think the difficult part is going to be actually putting it all together. So our next step here, I think, is going to be to go ahead and get our little, I don't know what you would call this. This is just like the little thing that's on the end of the rose. So I think we might have another one in green. I know I just saw one. Here we go. So this one will probably look a little bit better. Or we can do both. So our first step is going to be to attach this. These little things that will hold the petals, like a little couple petals there. And then from there, we will build the mechanism. We will tape it, make it green, and possibly, if it won't stay bent on its own, which it looks like it will get a little bit of a bend to it, because we don't want it to be, when you see roses, they're not just, they're not just one straight line. They do have a little bit of curve to them. So just getting a little bit of a bend in there. And the materials will speak to you. Maybe not in English, maybe not in any other language, but they will speak to you. So if you feel like you're bending it, it's going to break, don't bend it. But this does have a nice little bit of bendiness to it. So we're going to try to manipulate it a little bit, see how far it will let us push. And again, this could be like a kite tube or something. I'm not even honestly sure where I got this. I tend to take things that I see as useful and keep them, which I don't know, might be good, might not be good. Okay, so we got a little bit of a bend to our rose now, so it's a little bit more natural looking, because you don't want something that looks like super unnatural. And it all depends on your preference and your style. I try to go, I just try to go for beautiful, somewhat realistic when I'm doing props. And I say somewhat because it's a prop. And depending on your budget and just the way that you operate, that might be a little bit different. So this will be our rose. And it's going to be elevated a little bit in our glass dome. And we're going to put a little bit of cloth on the base too, so we can hide some of the base mechanism. All right, we're going to get our glue gun out. And it looks like we might be running out of a little bit of time here. I think I'll give it about 5 more minutes of work, and then we'll call it a day and get ready for dance class. My glue gun is on the other side of the room because it always is. in one of our last classes, we talked about adhesives, and glue guns are good. It really depends on the heat tolerance of whatever you're working on. So I probably wouldn't use this for something that's going to melt really easily. All right, so we have our glue gun, we have it on, we have it heating it. Now my other solution, if it didn't bend, was going to be to guide some wire on it and tape it on there with the floral tape and see if that would make a difference. And we talked a little bit about tape last time and how to manipulate floral tape. And I don't know why, but like touching floral tape really grosses me out. Because it's like it's not sticky and then it's sticky. It's very strange. And I'm just pulling the floral tape as I go. Just kind of winding it around. And if you don't pull it, it's not going to get sticky. So you just want to get a gentle pull, not to where you rip it up, but so we're creating our rose stem here while our glue gun heats up. So we can actually start putting these elements together. All right, so we're covered with the floral tape. So to finish that off, I'm just going to pull it until it breaks a little bit. Then we have our rose stem. I still want to try to make sure I've got that nice bend in there. So ta-da, our rose stem. Now these are huge. So I might either cut them down or find smaller leaves to use. But we'll get these on there as well. And then our next step, of course, will be to just kind of keep on building and start getting our petals in there. But I think that's what we're going to call it for today. So thank you for joining us for our Mood Board Monday. So we'll do a little bit on the front end tomorrow for Tech Tuesday, and then we'll continue working on our rose prop. But yes, hopefully you enjoyed it. And I think that's all I got for you today. So have a great day, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.